Yo, so I'm finally back with a new video, and it's been 9 months since my last one, and I think I say this every single time that I make a video. So we're gonna start off by doing a how to make Memphis or drift or distorted funk like MC Holocaust, Pharmacist, or almost anyone from Doom Shop, and some names are probably showing up on the screen right now. So this is the beat that we're gonna be making today. So like we start every tutorial, we're going to be starting with a sample digging quick session. Also, how does YouTube know what my favorite car is? This is kind of weird. Okay, so the first thing you're going to search up is a horror movie, either 90s or 80s. I'm going to go 90s, and theme song. So horror movies theme. And you're going to go through these playlists. Most of them are pretty good. There's a few here. So I think we're gonna pick this one here. So what you're gonna be looking for is a very eerie and ambient sample, not really something with a melody in it. That's what we're gonna do with the cowbells later. The first thing you want is just some creepy ambience to set the tone. So I think I'm gonna be a little more creative with this track because I found this really cool sample, and I might pitch it up and down alternately. But this isn't necessary. You can just add a creepy windy ambience if you want. It doesn't need a melody like this, but this is what I found. So I'm just going to loop that part and pitch it up and down over and over. Alright, so before we drag our sample into FL, you can choose a BPM. So drift funk is very high BPM and really high energy. It's usually between like 170 and 190. Anything above is just overkill, and anything below makes it sound too chill or too trappy. So I usually like to go right in the middle to 180. Alright, so now that you fix your BPM, you can drag in your sample. Okay, and now you can double left click it and right click edit to open it in Edison. And now that you're in Edison, you can use your middle scroll wheel button to zoom in and out like this, and left and right. So now we're just going to loop our part that we want. So I think this part right here is good enough, so I think we can drag it out right here. Alright, so now we can open it back into Edison, and we can check what key this specific sound is in. So it says right here that it's an F. So we can go back and click this little tool button and right click F here, and you can see the root note is F. And for you it's going to be 0, 0, so you just click cut self. And now we can just make a loop that goes D sharp and D. This is the one I chose because it sounds pretty good. So this is what it sounds like. Now the next thing that I usually do is the drum beat. So I got all these drums from my Drift Funk drum kit, which is going to be available in the description. It's a fairly simple drum kit. It's not too crazy, but it has everything you need to do what we do in this tutorial, because drum selection is very important when it comes to making beats. So I'm going to make a very simple drum beat, and I'll get back to you guys. Alright, so this is the drum beat that we ended up with. So right now it doesn't sound like anything special, but after the mixing is done, this is going to sound insane. So we can layer this over the melody that we had. So this sounds absolutely terrible right now, but don't worry, it's going to sound good. So before we mix any of the drums, we want to make sure we have the right master mix. So you're going to go on your master, and you're going to put a soft clipper And then this is the trick to making Memphis funk. So you want to have an EQ that looks like this. This is a lo-fi EQ, basically. You're just cutting out a lot of the high end and you're raising some high mids. So this is what it's gonna sound like now. So now we can get to the individual sounds. So the first one is a kick. You're gonna add a EQ. So this is just for this specific kick. My EQs are a little insane for this kick because it's a pretty quiet one. So you're gonna raise it a lot until it clips in the red here, and then you're gonna add a soft clipper to it. And now for the 808. So I'm assuming you guys know a lot about key and being in tune with your 808s. And if you don't, I recommend looking at my Studio tutorial. I think it explains it pretty well. But for those who do, we can keep going. This is the part where a lot of mixing engineers are gonna hate you for, but you're gonna want to clip the 808s. Not only are you gonna turn the volume up to the max, you can also raise a lot of the sub low end. So this is what it sounds like. And now for the hi-hats, you want to make sure that they cut through because you cut out a lot of the high end. So you still want them to be heard. And for all these snares here, you can just play around, make sure to make your own snare, to make some volumes, change the volume knobs. You don't really need to be doing that much here. The only thing is that you want a really punchy and low end heavy or low mid heavy snare. And it also doesn't hurt to clip your snares also. So now we can look at the cowbell melody. I like to go in the C4 region for this specific cowbell. And usually I just alternate between D sharp and D, or like F sharp and F, doesn't matter. Just these two notes like that. And then you can play around with chopping it a bit. So this is the one I have. So this is super easy. There's not much that goes into this. So for the pattern that you have with all your drums, you can click this little arrow and then click split by channel. So this is going to split all your drums into their own individual patterns, and you're going to see all of them on the left side here. So all you need to do is click the top one, hold shift, click the bottom one, and then drag them out. And you can delete all the overlapped ones. Now the next thing that you're going to do, and it's super important also, is to find a Memphis vocal. So everyone knows how to do this. You just look up Memphis vocal on YouTube. You go in I can't even type. You go on in any of the playlists and you dig through. The fucking killer, man. And if you're thinking that you can stand up to my click, you need to get another plane. So one thing you're going to look for that's important for this style is a very fast or fast enough vocal. You don't want a slow vocal because if you speed it up, it's going to sound like chipmunks. And if you slow it down, it's going to sound even slower. So you just want a really fast acapella by itself with a fast flow. All right, so right now it's completely off the grid. So you're just going to double left click it and use this time knob here. And it's going to snap to all the bars. So you want it to snap to that bar right there. And that should be good. So I just turned down the volume a bit and I added this EQ right here. So you're going to get rid of a lot of the high end and a lot of the low end and low mids. So it sounds very isolated. And I also added this second part here where I switched up to 808. And this is what it sounds like. So again, most of these sounds are from my funk drum kit. There's a bunch of cowbells and shakers, kicks, everything you need to make this type of stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Also, a lot of you don't know that I actually make music on my SoundCloud, and I'm a lot more active on there. So check it out. It's not trash, I swear.